Friday. Q&A. Fanmail. Lovely. I've got a squid in my head for no particularly good reason. It was on the stairs, so I put it on my head. Oh, what's going on? Well, events. BrickCon is still the next major event. It's about 2-3 weeks away. I really need to make sales. I have, hopefully, the materials necessary. I just need to start doing it. We had an event last weekend. My footage is up for that. Brett's footage is up from that. He's brought back I'd Run That in a War, and much fun was had. Andy Werk has put out the first episode of Show Me the Modded Thing over on his channel. Check it out. It's really quite excellent. Quite honestly, the video quality is better than my own, which isn't surprising because my video quality is still kind of... I plan to work on that eventually. Right. Questions. Big Cheese. What is the most heartwarming thing you ever saw at a Nerf gathering or war? I think I saw a proposal once. Might have been a wedding. I don't think I went to the wedding, but there was a wedding. Nothing apparently has stuck in my mind. Rex Regum. If Hasbro were to release the Strife and you had some say in the matter, what would you change about it for the mass market, or just reskin it? Just reskin it. Any changes that would be made, other than perhaps purely internal changes, would risk making certain kits or whatnot not work with it anymore. Like if I wanted them to fix the handle, there are like the Chris Vector kit wouldn't work anymore if the handle had different geometry. So honestly, I would just re-release it, and I feel they should. Kenneth Buxton, what is your decision philosophy when it comes to answering questions? Generally, I start at the first come first serve, so I start at the bottom of the oldest comments and scroll up until I have either run out of questions or until I've reached 20 questions. If there's a question that I've answered many times before, I'll often skip it. If it's a question that I just don't like, I will skip it. I don't get a whole lot of questions that I consider inappropriate. Some of them are just not fun, but I generally don't get rude ones that I delete or refuse to answer. Telemachus 2814. Do you think that if Nerf were to accept, understand, and acknowledge that modders and adults are actually a large part of our audience, that they would make better blasters that catered more towards that? I think there is potentially an erroneous assumption in the belief that modders and adults are a large part of their audience. It feels like we're a larger audience to us because we're what we look at, we're who we communicate with, we're who the content that we look at and all of that. But even if there were, say, tens of thousands of adult nerfers and modders, that would still probably represent maybe 1% of their market. Hasbro or Nerf is a billion-dollar toy line. We are not a large portion of it. At least not a large portion of Hasbro's target audience. The reason people like Dart Zone and the others are targeting our audience is because Hasbro isn't touching it. And while 1% of Hasbro's market isn't big to them, that could in fact be a large part for, say, Dart Zone. Though I would argue that perhaps the reason that it isn't larger than it is because Hasbro hasn't made any effort to target that audience. Whereas Dart Zone and Worker and those and most of the 3D design people out there are specifically focusing on that, and it is bringing in more and more people, and we're definitely growing at a very fast rate. So I don't think we are a large part, but I think if they were to put out an adult line similar to Dart Zone, a more competitive line, I think it would become a larger market. And I do think that they are missing out on potential revenue source. If we could get Nerf or foam flinging hobbies to the level of airsoft or paintball, that would open up a huge market that they're currently just neglecting. boggle. Will Honey Badger motors in a Strife work with a 2S Lipo? Yes. Definitely Natox. What is your favorite mobile phone that has ever been made and why? I couldn't tell you any. I mean, like, I've never had an iPhone. I've only ever had Androids, but I think I don't remember which ones I've had. I preferred ones that actually had a flip-out keyboard. I liked having a physical keyboard, touch keyboards. I have big thumbs, and I tend to get a lot of typos, and autocorrect is horrific. But there isn't any like one particular model where I thought this was the pinnacle of all phones ever. Just not an area that I've specialized in. Michael Nimrod. Where would you rate the Demolisher on a tier of blasters? It's a very subjective and open-ended question. Depends on the tier. Are we talking about modded blasters, stock blasters, war blasters, HVZ blasters? I mean, it's a Strife with a rocket launcher, so it's good. It's got the extra functionality of having a rocket launcher. It's magazine fed. It's semi-automatic. It's flywheel. It's got all of that. But I don't know how you would even begin to it depends on the tier system. I mean, if you're comparing it to things like a Caliburn, it's going to lose miserably. If you're comparing it to things like the Maverick, it's going to do great. I don't have a personal tier system. What I consider tier 1, tier 2, tier 0, tier 5, tier 10. I've never bothered. And most of the ones that I've seen have been so completely arbitrary and based purely on opinion as to not really have any value in my opinion. Trevor Wilson. Have you tried St. Arnold root beer? I don't think so, but I want to now. Sounds delicious. So I don't scare the puma. Ha ha! Direct hit. Fabian Holmgren. Would you like to see a stripper clip accepting internal mag bolt action infantry blaster? If you're asking if I want to see pictures of one that you've built, sure, that sounds neat. If you're asking if I think they need to develop one, no. There is very good reasons that we quit using those. Now, that would be something that would be very neat for reenactors if you want to do, World War I or even World War II reenactment. Something like that would have a place. But otherwise, no, it's not something I would personally ever really desperately want to see. Stripper clips are far less efficient than magazines. There's a reason, like I said, there's a reason we got rid of them. Also, I'm pretty sure you would have to have, it would need to be shell ejecting, because otherwise you're not going to be able to really effectively keep darts in a clip if it doesn't have, a rimmed shell that it's in. And then, shell ejecting blasters in and of themselves are horrifically inefficient. They take up more room. They've got more complications. I think it'd be neat. I'd love to see pictures of one, but I don't feel the need to acquire one. 4-piece. How is the end of the year build coming along? Hasn't even started. I'm not even sure I've chosen which one I'm going to do yet. Too much else going on. Hwindle Poons. Are you planning on going to FoamFest UK 2022? If I'm able to, I will go. I would like to go. Whether I'll be able to get out of the country or not is still who knows. Cultree. Crutley? Would you make a guide vid on how to make a do-it-yourself proton pack? No. It's really not that complicated when it really comes down to it. You need a flywheel rival blaster that's got a pusher of some kind. Whether it's a motorized pusher or a mechanical pusher doesn't actually matter. You then need an airtight tank that's got some kind of a blower, whether it be an air mattress pump, 12-volt air mattress pump or similar. And then you need an agitator, something to stir the tank so that the balls don't get stuck and force them into the hose. That's all there is to it. I've seen somebody do one, basically, I think they used a Nerf football as part of the agitator and then just put fins on it. And then used an air mattress pump. Yeah, there's lots and lots of ways you could do it. But I prefer to use the files that I was given by Out of Darts many years ago. Artist Engineering. What is the cheapest but most effective / best modification for a Strife? Again, this is a ridiculously open-ended and subjective question because how do you define most effective / best? What FPS are you going for? How quiet do you want it? How much money, what does cheapest mean? Because if you've got a $5 budget, that's going to be different than a $25 budget, is going to be different than a $50 budget. There's too many variables to say this is the best cheap option. I mean, you could put 2 IMRs in it and it would give you a little bit of a boost, but there's obviously the inherent issues with IMRs. You could simply rewire it for 2S Lipo. That would actually be fairly effective. Even with stock motors and cage, it would give it a bit of a boost. The stock wiring should be fine because the motors aren't going to draw any more current than they used to. But that requires soldering, so if you don't have a soldering iron or you don't know how circuits work, that's the other issue, is I don't know your skill level, I don't know your tool set, I don't know your experience. So if I say, well, you should do this rewire, but you don't have the ability to rewire a blaster, well, then that's not going to do you any good. Yeah, unfortunately, there is no easy answer here. I need more information if I'm going to be able to answer that. Gustav, what, in your honest opinion, makes the kukri and machete such an awesome combination? Well, my machete is ridiculously long for a machete. It's more the length of a standard longsword, and it does have enough handle that you can get 2 hands on it if you want to have more leverage. And then my kukri is quite unusually bent. Kukris are in general a bent forward blade. Mine is even more so than would normally be the case, which makes it really good for hooking things, hooking other people's weapons, hooking shields, hooking whatever. And so I've got good reach with the machete, yet it's fairly light. I can still move it quickly, but I can two-hand wield if I need more speed or more power. The kukri allows me to hook. It just works well. Plus it's iconic in that machetes and kukris are great melee weapons, but are very, very relatively simple. Kukris are great for taking off heads. Machetes are good for hacking. Plus, you can chop, brush out of your way in a pinch. Yeah. Sam Berg. What hats don't you have? Well, most hats I don't have, if you really get down to it. I don't have a proper commissar hat. Like a 40k commissar hat. I did finally get a mitre. I'm quite pleased about that. My turkey hats have gone AWOL. I don't know what happened to them. I think I left them at Luchathor's house during Thanksgiving. Got one of those. I don't know. Nothing's coming to mind. I'd have to go through them all and see what I do have. Finally, Big Cheese again. What is the name / brand of your combat trousers? Backbone. Got them on Amazon. Alright. Hit that! Aha! I hit the mic. Right. Now, for the loot. I have loot. I also have a letter. I don't get very many letters, and I like getting letters. So let's take a look at the loot. Right. We have loot. We will start with the letter. Comes to me from an A. Reed, I believe. Good Lord. Hey, Captain Xavier, I hope you're doing well and that this letter finds you in good spirits with many a root beer to enjoy. I'm actually a little low on root beer at the moment. I need to restock. I saw your recent gameplay video, and I'm quite jealous of your new Nerf arena. It looks awesome and should provide some fun CQB games. What are the dimensions of the arena, and how far apart are the trees spaced? They're 8 feet apart, so it's roughly, I think, 40 feet by, I want to say 200 feet. give or take. I haven't actually measured it out exactly. Are there any new game modes that you are developing for the arena that you wouldn't have done previously? I'm always looking for new game modes to add to my repository. Yes. We do have some plans for some ones that really kind of depend on having a space where we can build structures. We want to do. I want to build some tarp walls that basically allow us to create a building that's got doorways and windows and multiple rooms, and you have to clear them like you were clearing a building, looking for bad guys, stuff like that. Most of the rest would work just about anywhere, as far as Titan Ball you can play anywhere, and capture the flag and plant the flag and bucket of pistols. All those can be played on any field. But the ability to reconfigure the maze to build certain things has opened up options. Since I wrote last, I continue to grow my game mode repository and now published the rules for 26 different game modes to my website, and still have a large backlog of games I need to write up. Personally, love when a game mode incorporates some thematic elements. Is there a particular theme you think would be interesting to incorporate into a game mode? Well, obviously things like humans versus zombies is an excellent theme. Humans versus aliens is an excellent theme. Terrorists and counter-terrorists, where the two teams have different objectives. Those make for some really interesting scenarios, rather than both teams are trying to do the same thing. They're both trying to plant a flag or capture a flag or collect MacGuffins. If one side is trying to plant a flag and the other side is trying to unplant their flags, or humans versus zombies, obviously, aliens versus humans, obviously, those kind of games make for some interest, definitely a variety of gameplay, because it's not everyone doing the same thing. It's obviously always important that you switch sides and both teams get to play both objectives, but those make for some fun themes. In addition to working with my game mode repository, I've decided to start a Project MacGuffin, which is my side project to make props and items for use in running Nerf wars. For my first project, I'm building an Arduino-based timer for King of the Hill. I know many clubs use DGT cubes, chess timers, phone apps, or game moderators to track, but I feel like a purpose-built timer will be nice to have. Absolutely. I definitely want one of those. I'm looking at chess timers for our King of the Hill or control points. I would love to eventually get some really fancy ones that actually light up sections of the maze with like LEDs. So if we played either at night or at dusk and you could actually see when a control point had been taken because that whole section of the arena suddenly changes colors, that would be super cool. And it wouldn't be difficult at all to link that to a system if you had it built right. I've seen a few clubs already have purpose-built timers, but I've not found a good source for how to build one. I'm still prototyping a unit that would be interested in your opinion on what functionality features you would like to see in a King of the Hill timer, i.e. Visual audio indicators, physical interface, etc. Also, what game modes would you like to see in a purpose-built timer? Countdown, tug-of-war, person has to be physically pressing the button to keep the time moving. I've already written a code and created a wiring schematic for a basic timer, but I still need to design the housing and add some bells and whistles. I've published both the code and the wiring schematic to my game mode repository website in hopes that the modders out there will be able to take my initial building blocks and make some cool timers. I will continue to work on mine. Outside of timers, are there any other props or MacGuffins you would be interested in having for games? So, going back to the timers, if you haven't already, definitely reach out to Jangular or just in general Blaster Tag Association, because they had really cool King of the Hill timers for their games, where it was a bucket that had two buttons and you hit the button and when you hit it, things lit up and there was audio. They also had it linked to a computer so they could tell the exact statistics, everything you wanted to know about how long each time held it, how often they swapped, what was the longest time anyone was held. All of those statistics were all recorded, and the teams could then look at them and track their abilities and all of that. So Yeah, I like the options that you said. One where you have to actually physically be holding the button down as opposed to just hitting it and letting it run. That's definitely two very different game modes, and I like both of those. Countdown. You could also do one where rather than having it just be like the game is timed and you keep track of who had the longest time, you could have it go first team to hold a point for 5 minutes. Or if you wanted to go for a really long game mode, first team to hold a point for X amount of time uninterrupted. You could make for some more challenging hold of the point. You have to hold it for this amount of time. You have to hold all three. If you have them linked and you have multiple ones, you have to hold first team to hold all of them. First team to hold all of them for 10 seconds. First team to hold 2/3 of them. You know, whatever. If you're able to link them together, you can do a lot more with it. Definitely like the idea of audio. Either an alarm that says that it switched sides, or countdown to, if it's first team to get to a certain amount of time, how much time do they have left? There's a lot of things you could do with it. Other props that I would like to see. Well, the other thing that Blaster Tag Association had was Respawn Center, where as soon as you got tagged, you had to go back and you hit a button, and it started your respawn timer. And when that ran out, you were good to go in, and you could have multiple stations. So there's 5, however many people were playing on a team, there were that many buttons, and you had to pick whichever one was currently available to hit. So you had multiple timers going at once. That was a really cool thing. They also did one for Ragnar Oktoberfest where they had targets, where you had to hit the target, and every time you hit the target, your team got a point, and it tallied it up. And so you could have something along those lines where rather than the objective isn't to shoot the opposing team, it's to hit your target. And if you have the target planted in their side of the field, you have to get through and try to shoot it as many times while they're trying to get through to yours to hit yours. That would be a cool thing. I'm sure I could think of lots more if I really sat down and thought about it. To switch topics. Given your great love of LEGO, I was wondering if you have any advice for a parent who has just started to purchase LEGO for their kids. We recently brought my 7-year-old son some of the classic series sets. He seemed to really enjoy it. However, I'm hesitant to purchase any of the more specialized sets, as while he might have the patience to follow the instructions to build it the first time, he would likely lose some of the pieces afterwards. I mean, the important thing is he enjoys whatever we get him. It's just hard knowing what he will likely not be able to build into specialized sets again. I was also considered trying to pick LEGO up from thrift stores and yard sales to build up a collection for him, but it would be nice to have some with instructions for him to follow. Any thoughts? Well, first of all, every LEGO instruction that has ever existed is available on, I think it's brickinstructions.com. If you just Google LEGO instructions. LEGO has a huge number of their sets in PDF form, and then whatever they don't have, Brick Instructions, I think it's brickinstructions.com. I might have the URL wrong, but they're available there, so you don't have to worry about not having the instructions. The question is whether you have all of the parts or not. Starting with the classic stuff, the bulk stuff, the ideas line would be a good one. Because that's specifically intended to, yes, here are some things you can build with it, but it's a very wide variety of parts. The 3-in-1 sets are also a great one because it teaches them the creativity of, here are 3 different sets you can build with the same parts. What can you make with these parts? So I would definitely recommend the 3-in-1 line. Lastly, I, of course, want to thank you for all that you do to build up our community. I think you are a wonderful example for us all, and for that I salute you, Sir Bangarang. Sincerely, Adam. Well, sir, you are awesome. So, GameModeRepository.com is where all of those are. I'll have a link down in the description. I need to go and take a look because I'm always looking for new games to run at our arena. I've got I'd like to change them out. There's a couple that we all really, really like and definitely want to run every time, but I want to change out at least one new one every time, and we obviously have limited time, so having them written up is really, really cool. I'm actually planning to make a physical copy of all of the various game modes that we have, just so that we can have them out If we, for right now, I'm actually pre-scheduling. These are the games that we're going to play. In the future, we might leave one open and roll a die, and that will determine which game mode we play for the open section. I also will probably allow people, like Patreon people. One of the perks they would get is choosing one of our game modes, and they could come up with something absolutely weird and wild and wacky and whatever, and we'll play it and determine whether we enjoy it or not, yeah, we will see. So, excellent. This sort of thing, repositories of knowledge are a very, very valuable thing in any kind of hobby space, and it doesn't happen enough. It's definitely something that the Nerf hobby could hugely benefit from, and so having this one started is an excellent start. So I very much appreciate that, and I will be checking them out, and hopefully I have given you some useful information. All right, on to the loot. We have something here. It's dubious. Dubious, I tell you. I think I'm missing one. I could have sworn there was another one that felt like a book. Maybe not. Maybe not. We'll see. What do we got? We've got root beer candy. Ooh, it's the dad's root beer candy. Is there a note? There may be a note. Hey, Cat, I thought it was about time I sent you another gift. It's not as much as I like, but Dad's root beer is great. Hope these are good and you enjoy. Bangerang from Kyla. Telemachus 2814. Aha! Well, we answered one of your questions. I am a big fan of the Dad's root beer barrels. I'm a fan of root beer candies in general, so most excellent. A resealable bag? It is a resealable bag. How to train? Right. Next we have dubious. Sounds like happiness. It is happiness. Nope. There does not appear to be a proper note. There's a gift note? Is there another note? No note. But it's one of the new Ninjago sets. Very cool. Very cool. This. Well, wow, that looks. Oh, that is neat. I dig it. I shall have to build this as soon as I can manage. Most excellent. I don't know who this came from. Could have been from anybody. Does not appear to be any indication on here. So, whoever sent this, you are awesome. Because Lego. Lovely. Alright. We're going to take a look at this one. It may be something that I'm actually forwarding on to somebody else. It may be something that's actually for me. I don't know. We'll see when I get into it. It's ammo. Don't know. Oh. No, mine already arrived. I thought. I'll have to find out whether this is in fact for someone else or for me. Could be for anybody. Who knows? Anyway, there's that. Alright, we have a large package from an Eric. Let's take a look at what Eric has got me. It's blasters! Right! A fine individual reached out to me to inform me that, good lord, okay, that they had managed to get their hands on some of the Black Catch. These both have the matte finish cylinder. You can also tell that when you prime it, the trigger doesn't move, and that is an indication that it is Black Catch. So now I have a pair of Black Catch Thundershots to tinker with. I definitely want to do videos on attempting to mod them and see how, if they are in fact remotely structurally sound. I have heard of them breaking just as much as the trigger catch ones do, so who knows. Right, one last package from, you guessed it, Daniel Dillman. Apparently this was supposed to arrive in time for the last one, but it didn't. But it's here now, so. We have a note! As always. Hey, Captain! Back from the dead! Well, COVID wasn't that bad, just annoying and an unrelenting cough that wouldn't go away for the longest time. Alas, I'm back to normal, and that means Fragile package. I need to catch up on your plethora of videos as well. I did catch a few minutes of your last Q&A fan mail, and you said to keep reminding you if you promise to do something. I think you promised to visit Wisconsin, and I'll take you out to a Sprecher restaurant. Just kidding. You didn't promise. No, but I want to go to Wisconsin. I think I've still got family in Wisconsin. Hope you enjoy the goodies. Maybe the drain blaster for the makerspace. Enjoy the pretzels. What? Pretzels, sir. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Dan, Wisconsinite, Sprecher, lover, ripper, sorter, halo, fan, future Patreon subscriber? Who knows? Most excellent. Well, we'll start with the thing on the top. Dubious. Doesn't quite have the right sound for Lego, but I've been wrong before. It is! Oh, I was gonna say, unless they're in bins. It wouldn't be right unless they were in bins. Good lord! That is all classic pirate stuff. Cannons, sails, flags, bins of minis, classic minis, all classic minis. Good lord, sir. Sir. Oh. More classic minis. Mostly classic minis. Very cool. I like the little bins. These are medication bins. Very cool. There's some good vintage castle right there. I am loving that. Can never get enough vintage castle. Good stuff. More pirate stuff. Oh, including a rare and uncommon piece that I needed more of to build certain things. So that is fabulous. That is also just nothing but good stuff. Very cool. A base plate. Can never have too many base plates. What do we got? What do we got? We've got a white magazine. I actually I needed one of these for reasons. Oh, what do we got? Paper. Crinkly noise. Sorry for the crinkly noise. A drum. I do love drum magazines. Oh, what the what? Oh, it's the Nintendo Zapper. Just the same as the one I already have? I wonder. I wonder if it's a different color. Oh, it's the same. May have to see if I can get a hold of whatever this was meant to be played with. Pretty sure that's... What is that? It's not GamePort, is it? Is it old... PlayStation? What is it? Who knows? Someone out there knows, and you will tell me. Another drum! I do like drums. Oh! I'm a huge fan of the Double Down, and they are getting harder and harder to find. That one is in really nice condition. Gummies! Albanese Gummy Peach Rings. Someone was asking about peach rings recently. Oh, there we go. Ultimate 8 flavor gummies. Albanese. Such a good goom. Good lord. 18 round elite refill pack in package. Never been sniffed till now. And a drain blaster. Lovely. So we got, that's what we got. Well, as always, Daniel Dillman does not disappoint. Nothing but the best stuff and the best crinkly noises. Gummies, Nerf, Lego. I am spoiled. Spoiled, I say. I need to get to Wisconsin at some point. When was the last time I was in Wisconsin? I think the closest I've been was Minnesota a couple of years ago. Anyway, there it is. There's the loot, as always. Cool stuff, amazing stuff. You all spoil me. And thank you guys for watching.